There
we go.
Hey John, can you hear us?
Yeah.
I think you're the only one on VC today, so you'll have a particular view of it. So we'll leave everything running, I think, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, everyone else is here. Okay. Right. Well, that's John in. That's us all. You okay with your ankle? You want? There you go. That's it.
Hey John, how you doing?
Gary.
It's fine. So, just think up some awkward questions for Russell here about the Crinning Canal, will you?
And send them to me in an email.
John's far too professional. He's not like you, Gary. Far too professional, that man.
That's fine.
So, Kathy's working for us.
I've just got my power from my laptop.
That's it.
Aye. Just plugged in.
I never even noticed. Sorry. I don't know about battery, can I?
Eh?
Not that. I'll avoid this one.
I'll stop them from coming round.
Where's he based anyway?
Never got them.
You'll smell it. So she had to travel over there. Or was she?
You just want her out working.
And the rest of the family as well.
There's it. Alright.
Just
Expected to get something.
Well, it's Glamagos Culture, good afternoon and welcome. Those who don't know me, my name is Gary Campbell. I'm the Key Account Director here at the University of the Highlands and Islands. The reason that we do these seminars, I know a lot of you have been along before and some haven't, this is to engage with the external community that UHI is very much part of. And we try to look for different topics that we can talk about, and so that you can see how the university works with various different organisations, and also maybe how you can help yourselves. And in this case, today, Scottish Canals, and I'm delighted to welcome along Russell Thomson of Scottish Canals, who is the man behind bringing the World Canals Conference to Inverness in 2016. And something that we're delighted about at the university, for lots of reasons, because we have a lot of interaction with Scottish Canals in terms of curriculum development, field trips, research. It works very well for all of us. But we wanted to maybe give a little bit of a showcase as to what this World Canals Conference is about and how the wider business community can become involved in it. So without further ado, Russell, thank you for coming along today. And What is Scottish Canals? I mean, give us a bit of background as to what it is and what you do.
I think until about 3 years ago, people would have known us better as part of British Waterways, which was that UK-wide organisation charged with looking after about 2,000 miles of canal and waterway around the UK. But about 3 years ago, England and Wales elected to go their own way. They went the way of being a charitable trust. So they are now the Canal and River Trust, and the British Waterways Board, as such, still operates, but operates exclusively in Scotland, but we trade as Scottish Canals.
Is it quite interesting that all of a sudden England and Scotland wanted to leave us? Sure, as opposed to the other way around, given recent developments.
Yes, this has gone the other way, and it's gone well for us so far. We've been delighted to be able to kind of focus on our customer base and making the business fit what it needs to do in Scotland.
And whereabouts in Scotland are all the canals? Because I mean, we'll obviously be aware of the Caledonian Canal, which is virtually our doorstep here, but what else do you operate?
Well, we've got responsibility for operating, managing 5 canals around Scotland. 4 of them are navigable. The Caledonian, the Jewel and the Crown, but obviously I'm biased, from Inverness to Fort William. The Crinan Canal in Mid-Argyll, the Forth and Clyde from Glasgow over to Grangemouth, and the Union Canal from Falkirk, which runs right into the heart of Edinburgh.
Okay. And you do that, and of course, it's something to do with these kelpies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the Falkirk Wheel, which is the world's first and indeed only rotating boat lift, and we are one of the partners in Helix Park, which has recently opened. That's a 300 hectare green space and canal area of regeneration between Falkirk and Grangemouth. And yeah, obviously associated part of that is the already iconic kelpies which tower over the M9 and the new section of canal and seawall leading out onto the river.
It's quite interesting because I suppose a lot of people, certainly in this part of the world, would just associate you with the Caledonian Canal and be done with it. And then, but you're in our area, I suppose, and we've got John joining us from Argyll today by BC. We've got the Caledonian and the Crinan Canals, which really within the UHI area, which is within us. And I mean, they both connect up effectively seaways, don't they?
They do. They're both transit canals. If you take Crinan in Mid-Argyll from Crinan over to Ardrishig, it's a short canal. It's 9 miles, but it offers a fantastic shortcut, particularly to the Clyde fleets wanting to access the sailing grounds of the West Coast. And as I say, it's an excellent shortcut and avoids that longer and what can sometimes be hazardous route around the Mull of Kintyre. And for Crinan, that's very much their focus, is that transit market. And I think they have about 15 or 1,600 boats a year passing through. For the Caledonian, it's 60 miles from Inverness to Fort William. Obviously includes the 4 lochs, Loch Ness, 2 of them, Loch Oy, Loch Lochy, and Loch Lenny. Again, it is a transit canal. We do have activity based on the canal, very much so. We have 15 commercial operators operating everything from the mini cruise ship with Lord of the Glens to the hire fleets to the trip boats onto Loch Ness, be it through Jacobite from Inverness and cruise Loch Ness down to Port Visters as well. But a very important part of our market is that international market. About 50% of the 1,400 boats that go through the Caledonian each year come from out of the UK. Principally from Scandinavia. Obviously they're geographically close and they've got a high density of boats as well. So a lot of Swedish, Norwegian boats, then Dutch, German, and then as you get further afield, slightly less and less.
And are they using it as a shortcut to the Atlantic, or are they coming to actually visit the canal?
They're using it for a variety of reasons. A large part is very much as a transit canal to access the sailing grounds of the west coast of Scotland, which are supposed to be the second best sailing grounds in the world. But some were coming for the Caledonian as a destination in its own right, and the communities we serve, and Inverness as a city, and obviously the attraction of Loch Ness as well, for sailors around the world to be able to say that they've sailed on Loch Ness with whatever company lies beneath. That's one of the real attractions for them as well.
And of course, we know that the Loch Ness Monster hasn't attacked anyone in 1500 years, so they're fairly safe.
Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of, yes. Just a quick thing as well, if anyone's got any questions, we'll have a Q&A session after this, but if you don't want to say them, we can tweet them. You and Sarah, the head of the management school, and it's, if you find the UHI Management School on Twitter, you can tweet in a question and you will ask it on your behalf. And so, I mean, you've alluded there to, there's a bit more that goes on than just the boats going through the canal. People are coming to see Loch Ness. Some of the operators in here today who operate on the canal and operate very successful businesses. So what in terms of the area, what does the Caledonian Canal do add to the area that's more than just than shifting a boat from Inverness to Waterways?
Well, I think what sets the Caledonian aside is that it isn't just the canal, it isn't just the waterway. It's a key part of the Great Glen Ways, the boat, the bike and the boot, which really brought public sector agencies together maybe about 13 or 14 years ago. Scottish Natural Heritage, Forestry Commission Scotland, Island Council and ourselves to bring about those three ways to deliver interpretation and the routes themselves. That's been very successful. I think there's about 10,000 walkers a year do the end-to-end, as well as all the activity within it. And then we saw the gradual desire to accommodate a lot more paddlers, kayakers and canoes. With the outdoor access legislation in Scotland in particular, which offers not only unrestricted but free access to the water, we saw paddle numbers growing significantly year on year. So again, with SNH, Forestry Commission and Highland Council, we put together the Great Glen Canoe Trail. That was a £600,000 project which delivered website, safety information and on-the-water infrastructure as well. And that formally opened in 2012. And we've seen the number of paddlers in the Great Glen go from perhaps about 300 a year 8 or 9 years ago to almost 4,000 last year. And that we feel is, of great benefit to local tourism economy.
And of course, I think you're looking after what's effectively an ancient monument as well, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Absolutely, the Caledonian is a scheduled ancient monument, so we are guardians of that monument as well. I think importantly as well, we are facilitating businesses both on and off the water, and regeneration and development all around the Scottish Canal network, whether that be commercial, leisure or residential. So there's a lot of the build around the waterways that we can help facilitate, and as I've said, the local economic benefit, bringing in the transit customers, people in the commercial vessels and all of that. Surveys have shown that we probably about £4 million of spend comes into the Great Glen each year through the canal and its customers and the businesses that operate alongside it.
Yeah, and of course, and you've got other things that I understand that you took a lot, like transporting of wood off the roads, onto boats, so to help, and that must help, I suppose. Maybe not calm down, but certainly frustration in the A82.
Yes, I drive it as well. That's been a long-held aspiration for us, to bring freight back to the canal. We have run a couple of very successful trials over 2 winter periods. And the two challenges you would expect in delivering a long-term freight service in the canal would be getting the cargoes and having the right vessels. Getting the cargoes really isn't a challenge. We found when we ran the trials, they're carrying timber all the way from Glenetive up through the canal, out to Inverness Harbour for transport onto Norboard and other projects as well. And the feedback we were getting was those customers would happily have taken twice or even 3 times the timber that could be supplied. So the cargoes are there, and development of that service longer term would allow the back cargoes to be ton cargoes. It makes it stack up economically. But the real challenge is that the kind of vessel that maximises the dimensions of the locks, I was going to say they don't exist anymore, they probably never did. So where the Norwegian vessel that was in charter to run the timber a couple of years ago was carrying maybe 400 tonnes, which is taking 20 lorry loads of timber off the road. A vessel that was built to maximise the dimensions of the lock could probably carry about 800 or 900 tonnes.
Right.
That costs a lot of money to get that vessel built, but we're working with various organisations that one day might see that delivered, which would be fantastic news.
And going forward, you know, the World Canals Conference, which is what we're here really supposed to talk about today, what is it, and why Inverness? What is it involved when it comes to Inverness?
I think the reason it's coming to Inverness is we've gone out there and very actively pursued bringing this, because we see advantages to us as an organisation and again to the area and the communities we serve as well. We felt Inverness was a fantastic venue for it. Inverness and the broader Great Glen. Whether it be Eden Court as a conference venue itself, which can give is in a great setting beside the Ness, and it offers great flexibility in size and number of rooms that allows us to deliver those plenary sessions and workshops and all the rest of it we want to deliver. So the actual conference venue itself sat very well. Inverness has that wealth of accommodation, restaurants, shopping, the transport links in and out of it as well, which again made it a good venue to bring it to. And then the wider spectacular setting of the Great Glen as well, when we take people out on tour. All of that added up, and quite compact as well, which will make some of the transport side of it quite good. That it really is a perfect venue, so why wouldn't we come? Thankfully they agreed with us.
And what does it cover? I mean, what kind of stuff is it? When you're at the World Canals Conference, is it about the history of canals, or is it about how to keep them going, or what do they look for when they come to a venue?
Yeah, the delegates are an interesting mix, because possibly slightly unusual that you have everything from waterway and canal professionals through to enthusiasts, and they may be enthusiasts about the boating side of the business or heritage or otherwise as well. So the conference scope and content has to reflect that. But it's to remember that we are, although it's a canal and a waterway, it's just another business that has to engage with the various functions that we all have to. So whether it is in engineering, asset management, marketing, tourism in the economy, regeneration and development, all of that is are areas of business we're interested in. The conference serves as a good opportunity to focus on those, both in terms of the challenges we're all facing, and there's remarkable similarity around the world, and what the opportunities are for the future. Whether that's in terms of grasping new technologies or opportunities for working in partnership together. And that is the theme of the 2016 conference, is about local, national and international partnership working. Our own vision in Scottish Canals is about safeguarding our heritage and building our future, and it is very much about that, as is the case for many businesses. But we really feel through those partnerships we can do that. We've talked about the Great Glen Ways, the partnerships we've been engaged in the past. We have also done other partnership engagement on European projects and staff exchanges and joint marketing with Swedish and Norwegian canals. We're doing stuff with Parks Canada. And indeed, even the approach to the World Canals Conference, we received fantastic international support, but fantastic local support as well.
So other folk have become involved, yeah?
Absolutely, both in terms of moral support and some financial support in there as well. So we've had support from Visit Scotland, from the Highland Council, Inverness Chamber of Commerce, Inverness Hotel Association, the Courier sang the whole thing wide and loud as well. So we've been delighted with the support we've received to date, but we really want to ensure that the conference isn't just about partnerships, but it will be delivered by partners as well. We really want people to get involved.
And local businesses and other organisations, and people in the room today, how, if they want to become involved in this or get an opportunity from, what kind of things could they get involved with, and how would they take it forward?
Within the next few months, we'll have the website for 2016 up and running. We don't want to stand on the toes of this coming year's hosts, but we do need to plan ahead as well. So come the spring, if people book World Canals Conference 2016 into the search engine, the web page will hopefully pop up. And by then we'll have an understanding of what the scope and content of the conference will be. And I would really just invite businesses around the Highlands, because we will have these national and international, the worldwide delegates for sure, but we'd be really delighted to attract local delegates as well, and Highland-wide delegates as well, who can perhaps look at what the content of the conference is, see any parts that are particularly relevant to them, hopefully attend the conference, be it full conference or for a day or even part of a day, see what they would like to attend, what's of interest, and there may be some businesses out there that actually feel there's particular synergy that they want to take, a more leading role in delivering elements of the conference, be it by participation or sponsorship or raising questions or supplying people with whatever.
Very good. And in the meantime, I suppose you can get in touch with yourself if anyone's got any burning desire to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously about today, and I've got business cards and all the rest, and people can contact me. I'm happy to speak to them about it.
Conscious of time, and also I'm sure there's some chance to ask some questions. And just before I go, you mentioned the Loch Ness Monster earlier on, which is, I'm sure there is no other canal in the world has its own aquatic pet. I mean, is that the strangest kind of request you get, or does it get worse than that?
We've had a lot of strange requests. We've had, I think back in the days when we were part of British Waterways, people confused us more with Scottish Water for some reason. So I have had a lady phoning me up from Aberdeen complaining that her culvert was blocked and what was I going to do about it. Offered some guidance on that. From our boating customers, we're increasingly attracting some of the very posh super yachts through the canal. We get through them every year. One parked up in Seaport Marina in Muirton Basin this year, and the crew came in and asked where they could get yellow kiwi fruits. I wasn't really able to help that one, to be honest. I'm sure there is an answer, but I couldn't do it. And we get requests every year about accommodating unusual craft to move through the canal. Everything from amphibious Land Rovers to Viking longships to pedals that are shaped like the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, absolutely. And on the monster, as you raise it, I think, maybe one of the more ridiculous questions was whether the Loch Ness Monster has a canal navigation licence.
And does she?
Well, the reason it's a ridiculous question is she doesn't need one if she doesn't come off Loch Ness. Very soon the answer's no.
But I'm glad you said it was a ridiculous question because you didn't need the paper on this. I think that's an appropriate point to leave it. Thank you very much, Russell.
Thanks.
And just open to the floor. Is there any questions for Russell on the canals?
Astounded.
That's
good.
I was just going to say something quick. Obviously, we work very closely with you, Russell, and one of the things, Visit Scotland, is a business extender. We find that emails to go out to the delegates in advance. We haven't obviously talked about that yet in any great depth, but the business extender email is something that we've got, and we're looking at maybe putting a page onto our website for offers think in the olden days people print off brochures, but everything's done through the internet. So if there are, shops or restaurants, obviously we'll be talking about closer to the time, but if there's any shops, restaurants that get in touch with you, then we can probably put them on the website, 10% off if you come and eat here. That's the kind of thing, as a sort of wider idea of how you can benefit from the conference. But if you get that through, then let me know. We can do that.
Absolutely. As I said earlier on, we are being careful about not stepping on the toes of this coming year's post.
Yeah.
I think actually to give her a flavour of where has held this conference in the past and the future is that over the last few years, I think 3 years ago it was Jiangsu province in China, 2 years ago it was Toulouse, this year it was Milan, next year it will be Ghent in Belgium, then Inverness, and the year following us will be Syracuse in New York. So it does really have a fantastic international spread. So I don't want to stand on the toes of Ghent, who will be hosting it this coming year, but I think fair to say that when this year's conference completes, we will then commence a reasonably aggressive marketing campaign. And within that will be any information we can put out. We will have a cleansed list of delegates who have attended over the last, say, 3 years, which will allow us to go out and market to them. And for instance, only a few days ago, I spoke to Inverness Hotel Association about preferential rates, etc. So we will put them out again as a partner accommodation. So anyone else who would wish to be involved in that sort of basis, we're happy to communicate all of that out. I think the key thing we want to do when we send that information out, as we did in the bid document, is really reinforce that we really want to welcome people to Inverness and the Highlands, and that will be the way in which we'll do that.
Any other questions?
Sorry, I read in some of the invite that came out that you were expecting around 150 delegates. Is that a limit, or is that just what's from experience in previous?
It's more about experience, yeah. We would expect somewhere between 150 to 200 delegates, maybe to get an understanding of the aspirations in terms of economic benefit of it. Is that the conference lasts 3.5 days, normally from Monday to a Thursday lunchtime. I would say 150 to 200 delegates is our experience. Maybe about another 30 partners or spouses will attend as well. In terms of the international mix of those delegates, about a quarter to a third tend to come from North America. Americans and Canadians is something they're very focused on, both in terms of the professionals and the enthusiasts, it's got to be said. Then a large number from elsewhere in Europe, a few from elsewhere worldwide, and I would expect, because it's in the UK this year, that we would get a reasonable number from south of the border as well. But yeah, that 150 to 200 is what we would expect. The joy of working with Human Court is there's a great flexibility in how we can mix and match the rooms. If that number pushed above the 180, 200 mark, and we had awareness of that reasonable stage, then we can develop that further. But really based on many years, I think the conference has been running about 20 years now, that is reasonably what we would expect to get. We would be quite content with that, quite happy with that.
Okay. I could ask John if he's got any questions. He's a so very conferencing participant with the southern angle to this.
Well, thank you. Not really any particular questions, but just I guess in Argyll it's a question of staying engaged with the conference as the programme develops and considering how Argyll can be involved in the conference.
But there will absolutely be an opportunity for that, John. Firstly, probably important to emphasise that we will be hosting it here in Inverness. Caledonian Canal is obviously kind of leading in that process, but it's Scottish Canals that is delivering this, so there will be personnel from the other Scottish canals involved. But also important to add, as well as the conference itself, a part of the routine is pre and post conference tours, and those that we will put together with an appropriate travel organisation. And those pre and post conference tours will not be in the Caledonian, because obviously we'll be doing the tours within the conference days. Those pre and post conference tours will all have an element of canal or waterways. So it could be a 3D tour which includes the Falkirk Wheel and the Helix and the Lowlands, but also does Edinburgh Castle and whatever else. We have already received requests that we make one of the pre or post conference tours to include the Crinan Canal. So again, we would expect to see a number of delegates, how many I don't know yet, who are travelling down to Mindergyle to visit the Crinan, and obviously they'll have a night or two down in that area as well.
Any tweets here?
Just when what you're talking about there, looking at the kind of economic benefit, you're talking about people coming here for a fair chunk, but also going out and seeing any analysis of what the benefit just from running the conference simply will be here.
Yes, having gone through the fairly comprehensive bid process with Visit Scotland and Highland Council, that based on the demographics and number of delegates we've had and the length of conference, the view is the local economic to Inverness in the immediate area is about £330,000.
And that could spin out further, presumably if people go, if people stay on and do other things.
Yeah, absolutely. As I've said, we can reasonably expect that over half those delegates will be coming from outside the UK. And I think particularly for the North American market, both America itself and Canada, and allowing it as the north of Scotland, I think there's a very keen link. We are under no misapprehension that one of the big attractions was that they were coming to the Highlands of Scotland. And so I would be very surprised, and again allowing that a number of people bring their spouses, some who will join the formal pre and post conference tours, and some who will just want to do their own thing.
Anyone get any other questions before we finish up? No? Okay, well, I'd just like to thank you very much, Russell, for that. I think it was an enlightening thing, not just about the conference, but the canal as well. Lots of people just like me sitting there looking at steamboats and don't understand exactly what's going on. I'd just like to thank you very much for coming along today. That's it, and I'll also thank you all very much for coming as well. This is what we do here at the University of the Highlands and Islands to try and connect people across our area. We have a vast area, and there's all the anecdotes about how big it is. You know, it's bigger than Belgium, bigger than Israel, and all this. But actually, the one I like the most is if you take two lines in the globe, and if you take a line that goes round that touches the southernmost part of Greenland, and if you take a line that touches the northernmost part of the Republic of Ireland, UHI actually spans that space. We cover a huge big part in the North Atlantic. And we like to connect things up, and of course that's what the Scottish Canals do, they connect things as well. There's a list in your desk there. We've got another 3 seminars coming up. We'd like to invite you to come along to those. If you could let us know if you want to come. The next one's next week with the senior economist of Lloyds Banking Group. He's an American who lives in Sweden and works in London and visits the north of Scotland very rarely. And I've heard him speak. He's a great speaker. We've got one in Caithness. If you want to join in, you can join in from here. By video conference, or you can please come and join us in Caithness. And it's a real exporting success story of taking a family business that was a fish and chip shop and a small bakery and making it into an international exporter with real potential now in Canada. And the last one is about franchising. One of the ladies who works in this building and also works for Catherine McLeod is going to be talking about franchising with a franchising lawyer. Not just if you want to take up a new Starbucks in Inverness, but if you've got an idea that you think might be able to be taken around the world, how do you do that? So we'll get these coming up before Christmas. We'd like to invite you to come along to those, but in the meantime, we'd like to pop outside and get some lunch. And well, thanks very much for joining us from Argyll. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm always fine. Something with it. So no, I only business installation, so give us offers so that delegates have,